Hello, my name is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and today I want to talk to you about court cards. I get a lot of emails asking about how to learn the court cards and how to read the court cards. And I have heard it said before that the court cards are every tarot reader's nemesis. And so I was trying to think why that is. And I think it's because they're so much more mysterious than the other cards in the tarot. So the major arcana cards usually represent different archetypes and different stages on your life path. And the minor arcana cards are more down to earth, and they represent, actions and things that are happening. And so they're easy to interpret. When you look at a minor arcana card, it's pretty easy to understand what's going on in that card. But the court cards are much more mysterious. They're more like personalities. And they don't have like a set definite meaning. They're very mysterious, and they can be read in 3 distinct different ways. So the first way that you can read a tarot card is you can see it representing you or the person who you're doing the reading for. So it could represent you, and the other way you could see a tarot card is representing another person. So someone else in your life already, or someone that's going to come into your life. And the third way to interpret it is to see the court card as representing a collection of personality traits. So these could be traits that you want to embellish in order to be more successful or to deal with whatever issue it is you're dealing with. Or they could be personality traits that you just want to be aware of, so things that could get in your way. So those are the 3 different ways to read a court card. Okay, so let's start by grouping the court cards according to suit. So I want you to get your deck of cards and take out all the court cards and organize them according to their suit. So all the Wands court cards are together, all the Pentacles court cards are together, and etc. So they're grouped by their families. And I'm just going to use the Wands as an example. So you want to look at each grouping and you want to see it as basically a family. So the Queen is like the mom, the King is the dad, and then the Knight and the Page are the 2 kids. And they're basically kind of a dysfunctional family because they're so unbalanced. They all have such a strong, fiery, wandsy energy to them. And each family, so the Pentacles, the Swords, Cups, they're all going to be unbalanced, so they all have that one particular suit quality to them. So just when you look at them as a family, just notice how they interact. So how do the 2 parents interact with each other? How would the Queen interact with the Knight? And just kind of play around with it. You could write this down in a tarot journal, or you can just kind of do this in your head. But the idea is to get a real sense of the court cards as being personality types. Okay, now the other way to learn the tarot cards is to group them according to their name. So you'd put all the Kings together, all the Queens together, all the Knights together, and all the Pages together. So we're just going to do this with the Kings, for example. And then you want to look at them all as one big group. And just imagine them all being in the same room together. So imagine these guys at like a business meeting or something like that. And how do you think they would interact with one another? Like, what kinds of conversations would they have? Would they argue with each other? How would the King of Cups communicate to the King of Swords? How would they be together? How would the King of Pentacles and the King of Wands get along? And just doing this it's just a creative exercise, but it gets you really thinking about the court cards as people, and it gives you a deeper kind of understanding of the energy behind each court card. And then you can do the same thing with the Queens and everything. And then you can kind of mix them up and see, how would the Queen of Wands, for example, how would she interact with the Page of Pentacles if they met at a party? Or how would the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles get along? What kinds of conversations would they have? I don't think they would get along because they're facing the opposite direction. So it looks like they're not even really communicating. But you know, you can just play around, and that just doing that exercise will give you a real appreciation for the types of personalities that each court card has. And one technique that I've used that I find really helpful for understanding the court cards is go through each court card, and this exercise takes quite a while, so you might want to do this exercise over like a few days, but you want to go through each court card and see the court cards as representing a particular aspect of yourself. So some of these might be obvious, like you might really understand how you are like the Queen of Cups or the Knight of Cups, for example, but you might not be able to relate to the Page of Cups. So if you can't immediately relate to a court card, it probably represents a part of yourself that was more active in your past. So maybe the Page of Cups represents how you kind of felt as a teenager. And maybe the Queen of Pentacles is how you want to be and how you want to feel in the world, but you don't exactly feel that way right now. But each court card represents a different aspect of yourself. So for example, with the Knight of Swords, you could ask yourself, how am I really driven like the Knight of Swords? And maybe you're not, you know, overall, but I'm sure you can find particular times in your life where you have felt driven, or maybe you've wanted to feel driven. And I am assuming that you have kind of a general knowledge of your tarot cards, but it helps with this exercise to look up the meanings in your tarot book, so get a real sense of what each card means, and then you can just kind of go from there. So Knight of Pentacles, he represents being stuck and maybe being a little bit stagnant and being very thoughtful, going very, very slowly. And so just ask yourself, you know, how am I like that? Where in my life do I represent, or where in my life do I embody those characteristics? And you want to focus this exercise on yourself. So it's tempting to say like, oh, Knight of Pentacles is just like my husband. I'm not like that. But you want to focus this exercise on your own personality traits. And what this does is it connects you on a really deep personal level to the court cards. And this is super helpful when you're doing readings for yourself. And it's also helpful if you're doing readings for other people, because you do have that kind of intimate bond with the court cards. And so next time you do a reading, after doing all these exercises, next time you do a reading, if you get a whole bunch of court cards, you're not going to be like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. All these court cards, So right away, you're going to have a basis for which to interpret the court cards. So once again, I just want to do a quick recap. There's 3 different ways to read a court card. Number 1, it can represent you, or if you're reading for someone else, that person, and you know, either the particular phase of their life that they're in, or the personality traits that will help them. Or it could represent another person in your life, or a person that's going to be coming into your life. Or it can represent personality traits that could either help or hinder you on your life path. Okay, so I hope you found this helpful. My name is Kate. I'm from dailytarotgirl.com, and I'm going to put a link to my website in the description of this video. And if you click on that link, it will take you to a page on my site that has this video and a written description of this lesson. So you might get a few extra insights in that written description. Okay, thank you so much for joining me.